We're looking for those whom we can encourage in this new year. Perhaps someone who's had a tough year, or maybe someone who's struggling. So let's look for an example in Scripture. Good morning. This is Pastor Ernie Lewis of the Blue Point Church in Sisseton, Illinois, with your thoughts for Tuesday. Perhaps we don't know where to begin when wanting to be an encouragement to other believers around us. Maybe someone that could use that kind of exhorting or help. So the Scripture tells us of one such believer who excelled in encouragement. In Acts chapter 4, it says, "And Joseph, who was also called Barnabas by the apostles, which is translated son of encouragement, a Levite of the country of Cyprus, having land, sold it, and brought the money and laid it at the apostles' feet." You know, in the early days of the New Testament church, there were many new believers who were struggling due to their newfound faith. Perhaps they were being persecuted by their family or by their neighbors. Maybe they had lost their job, or maybe even been excommunicated from the Jewish community around them. So here is one example of a selfless disciple who wanted to help other people. Barnabas owned some land, so he sold it, and he gave all that money to the apostles to distribute among the disciples or Christians who needed it. It is here we read he was called Barnabas, meaning son of encouragement. Now, we may not have the kind of finances where we can help others, but maybe we do have some resources that might be able to assist a struggling believer, even in a small way. But Barnabas also found other ways to encourage those who needed it. When many Christians feared Paul, because, of course, he had been Saul, who had a past reputation of persecuting Christians, it was Barnabas that came along, took him in, and brought him to Antioch to help teach and preach in the church there. This church was so blessed with teachers and leaders, probably because of what Barnabas had done in his role of encouragement in the church. When the church felt so called to send out missionaries in Acts chapter 13, Barnabas was chosen to go along with the Apostle Paul. It may even have been the encouragement of this disciple that made Paul such a success as a missionary in the New Testament church. Later, we see Barnabas trying to help young John Mark. He had deserted them on an earlier missionary journey, and Paul was against taking him this time. But Barnabas chose to leave Paul and take John Mark on his own missionary journey to encourage this young man. Barnabas also spoke up for the new Gentile believers who were being criticized by the leaders of the Christian faith back in Jerusalem. And one of the keys that we see in the life and ministry of Barnabas was he wanted to encourage new believers or fragile believers, those who were not accepted by others. Barnabas always was ready to step in. Perhaps that's the direction our encouragement should take in 2022. Are there those around us that we see as perhaps fragile new believers, or those who need our exhortation, encouragement in their struggles? Is there someone who has not been fully accepted by the church and others that we could encourage this year? Let's be a Barnabas, okay? That son of encouragement. Seek out those in need and step in to help them, encourage them, exhort them, build them up in this new year.